back at it again, and we have another one with Dinesh. Let's dive in.
Okay, so you talked a lot about the failures of socialism and the horrors that they've created, but you seem to have also left out a lot of the horrors of capitalism over the years, not including but not limited to the destruction of native land and stealing of their land, slavery, the colonialization of Africa, disasters such as the Triangle Fire back in the early 1900s, and continuous inequality today. And I want to know, is that a conscious decision that you're making in order to further your agenda, or if you actually do believe that those things aren't actually tied to capitalism?
Okay, so let's look at some of the things that you mentioned. You mentioned, for example, you mentioned colonialism, you mentioned the destruction of native land, and you mentioned slavery. Let me just take those three. Those are like your three kind of slam dunk examples. Now, let's look at them one by one and ask this question. What does this have to do with capitalism? Not, are we living in a capitalist world, and so obviously every institution is going to have some relationship to capitalism, I admit that, just like it has to have some relationship to democracy, to monarchy, to whatever political regimes exist. But here's the point. Slavery. If I'm going to grab another guy and force him to work for free, do you consider that to be capitalism? Is that what Adam Smith talked about in The Wealth of Nations?
If it's in the pursuit of profits, absolutely. Which that's what capitalism
No.
was putting forward, and
No.
the pursuit
No.
of
So
the
okay, so
pursuit
you got
of
to
profit
go
is
back.
why slavery was installed in this country.
Okay, so to be fair, in all these things, you have to judge an idea by examining its validity on the behalf of the people who advocate it, right?
I wonder if a lot of these folks that continually bring back up slavery understand that it happened around the world. Not to say that it wasn't bad or we should diminish, how terrible it was here on American soil, but this happened across the planet. This happened everywhere. I mean, you could look at just about any and every civilization. This happened since the beginning of time. The same thing with the Native American situation. Not to diminish, what happened to our Native American brothers and sisters, but taking over other people's land has happened since the beginning of time. It wasn't just here in America, but yet when I see these videos and I hear some of these individuals talk, they make it sound as if only America has done that to folks. Only here in America have we done that to people. And that is far, far from the truth. It's happened across this planet since the beginning of time. That is a fact that cannot be refuted. Same thing with slavery. It's happened across this planet. Once again, not to diminish how terrible it was. That's not what I'm getting at, because of course, you're going to have some people, well, you are diminishing how bad it was. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, don't try to make it sound like this only happened here and this is the only reason why. Like, there's a multitude of reasons why, certain things happen at certain different times, and it's happened across this planet.
If I'm going to discuss Christianity, I'm going to go to the words of Jesus Christ. I'm going to go to the New Testament, right? I'm not going to say, oh, I don't care about any of that. But so with capitalism, the simple fact of it is, if you don't have a voluntary workforce in which buyers and sellers and producers and consumers and workers and entrepreneurs are not in voluntary relations to each other, signing contracts and agreeing, the beauty of capitalism is that both sides are better off. Let's say, for example, take something really simple, okay? You have a glass of milk, and I have $3, okay? And I say, I'd like to have your glass of milk. And you say, I'll sell it to you for $2, okay? Now, you would never do that. I'm not answering the question. I'm saying that colonialism, which is political conquest by force, and slavery, which is physical conquest of another man's labor, are the antithesis of capitalism. The forcible seizure of native land, none of this has anything to do with capitalism. It's the very opposite of capitalism.
So what you're saying is the United States of America was not a capitalist country until 1865, and that's the day it did?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the Southern
He is not understanding at all.
economy was essentially a non-capitalist economy. Its champions knew that. The defenders of slavery all attacked capitalism.
But
They
it
hated
was in the pursuit of profit, which has continued on since then through the Jim Crow law errors, since the establishment of private prisons, and it's happening to this day. It hasn't changed. It's been capitalism since this country has been founded, and that capitalism is rooted in the slavery of this country.
The dictator of Venezuela, Maduro, right? When he died, he was a billionaire. So he was obviously in pursuit of profit. He was a socialist who was looting the country for himself. Was he a capitalist because he cared about profit? No, because capitalism is not just about caring about profit. Capitalism is about a certain way of going about business that actually mutually enriches all the parties involved. Otherwise, they don't do the transaction. If I go to apply for a job at a company, and let's just say they offer to pay me...
That was a much better way to explain it in layman's terms. And sometimes you really have to break things down into really simplistic terms so people can understand it and we can all get on a better page. So I like how he broke that down and very simply.
That actually mutually enriches all the parties involved. Otherwise, they don't do the transaction. If I go to apply for a job at a company, and let's just say they offer to pay me $1 an hour, right? And let's just say that I say, that's scandalous, that's slavery wages. If I don't take the job, I'm no worse off than I was before. They haven't exploited me in any way. They're offering me a deal, I'm free to take it or not. It's completely different if they go grab me, put a chain around my neck and make me work. That's the opposite of capitalism. That's why, read Lincoln. Lincoln says slavery is you work, I eat. And the alternative for him is the hand that makes the corn gets to put the corn in its own mouth. For Lincoln, that's capitalism. So you keep the fruit of your own labor.
So you're saying is the workers who produce the corn should be the ones who get that profit. So I guess we agree on that.
No, I'm saying if I come to a barren field that nobody has thought of cultivating, and I say, you know what, I actually see this as a very rich place to have avocados. And I hire 100 people to work on the avocados, and I pay them an agreed upon wage of, let's just say, $10 an hour. And at the end of it, I make $1 million. I would say that is a fair and just outcome because all of them agreed to the $10 an hour. It was well worth it for them, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. And I thought of the idea and I put it together.
Yes.
Because capitalism has oh my goodness. They agreed to it. Once again, there are millions of different jobs. You could create your own job. You don't have to take the job. So how are you being forced to do something? Unless this person means you're being forced to actually get a job and contribute to society. Yes, you should have to contribute to society in some way, shape, or fashion if you want to live. You shouldn't be able to sit on your couch, eat potato chips, and play video games all day and you get paid to do so. I don't believe that. No, whatsoever. That's bogus. That's BS. It's just the way that I feel. In order to live, you need to contribute. And if that contribution is helping to provide avocados to, individuals who want them, then so be it. So what this individual just said made no sense because you're being forced.
Fair and just outcome because all of them agreed to the $10 an hour. It was well worth it for them, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. And I thought of the idea and I put it together.
Yes, I agree.
The very definition of listening to respond and not listening to understand. That is exactly what I mean when I make that statement. Someone listening simply to respond. They're not really paying attention to what the person has to say. They're just waiting for that person to shut up so that they can respond with what they already have in their mind. They're not listening to truly understand where that person is coming from or what that person is actually trying to say or is saying. And that is the problem with a lot of these conversations that happen. Everything Dinesh said went in one ear and out of the other. I mean, just completely straight through. It's ridiculous. And it doesn't get us anywhere as a society having that type of mentality or having conversations like that. You should listen to try to understand. Even if you go into the conversation completely disagreeing, you should always listen to try to understand where the other person is coming from in that situation. Like I don't understand. I really don't. I just don't get how someone could listen to a perfectly good explanation and just completely shut it off like that. Dinesh explained that perfectly. Right? Do y'all agree? Let me know in the comment section. And it just went in one ear and out the other. And also, when you talk about capitalism and how bad this individual is trying to make capitalism seem or sound, I wonder what he thinks like a dictatorship, socialism is like. If capitalism is horrible, what is socialism? Is that great to that individual, or is that like death on earth or something? I'd be interested in asking that person, what is socialism to you then? If capitalism is terrible, where you have the option to go and work for this individual, to go and buy whatever, products or services you want without being forced to. If that is terrible, how do you feel about socialism? I'd be interested in knowing. But as always, another sad case of in one ear and out the other in this type of situation. And I get the original question because, these things happened in a capitalist environment, but it doesn't necessarily make them, those things individually, a cause of capitalism, like Dinesh was explaining. So I get the original question, and it could have been a genuine question, but like it just went off the rails after that. It just was, once again, in one ear and out the other. It's a shame. But anyway, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button before you go. It's right up over there. And if you would like to support the channel more than you already have, my PayPal link is in the description box below. Peace and love. I'm out.